Hey guys, welcome back. Let's bring you up to speed on our Cylon Tanker. Looks a little different than it did last time. Just trying to grab some time when I can to do some work on it, but not having the time to actually do some video work. But you know, there's not much to really see here. Last time it was in primer. We had done all the work to detailing out the hot section of the ship. We then took and used a gray rattle can. Is what I had. It's a lot easier right now. My shop is still a wreck. Matter of fact, my bench, some of you may have seen my bench in other videos. It's kind of a big bench. Not like some of them, but it's kind of big. But I'm working in a very tiny section of it because I just don't have a place for all my stuff yet. I'm still kind of in a transition stage. But anyway, we sprayed it with gray, a gloss gray for now, and we added some color to the top of the tanks, like we saw in our online depiction of the ship. To do that, to give it a specific look, I didn't want it to be a solid color. It looks like it's worn and all that, so I just used, I masked it off and used a sponge to blot the color on it. It's a custom orange color that I used. I don't even remember the colors, but it's basically an orange derivative of orange. Apologize for that, for not having the exact colors, because, you know, like I said, I'm just so disjointed right now. We then went and painted the interior of the tanker bays. I used a lighter gray for that. Then the color that I used here, I used on the lines inside the ship to give it, you know, that look, give it some points of interest. I still need to go in and do some detailing of the interior. Going to do some washes to bring those out and to make it look a little worn out also. So that's where we are with that. I don't know if I mentioned it last time. We drilled a hole in the center of the ship to give it so it had at the balancing point. We put some extra support in there. This is going to get mounted on one of those polar lights half dome stands with a metal stick up its bum. So that's where we are with that. So the ship's coming along pretty good. Also, I didn't make it uniform, but this one I made the worst. But you can see here we made it look a little worn out, the deck, and said that was on purpose, because when we painted this, I watered it down a lot so that this gray would show through again, and I just built it up until I got to the point where it had looked like it's worn out, because, you know, not everything is going to be pristine. Even for the mechanical Cylons, there's going to have some stuff that's worn out. So, but that's where we are with this. Now, when I think of this ship, I like this ship, and I can't tell you why. I'm not saying it's because it's such a great design, although I think it looks pretty cool. But it does look kind of odd, like it's missing something, like arms or something. I don't know, but because it's so long and thin. But I do like this ship, and to the best of my knowledge, it only appeared in the show twice. Once in the pilot episode, and again it showed briefly in the two-part episode where the Battlestar Galactica finds the Pegasus. And in that episode, it was just that. It was a tanker. It was filled with fuel, and the Colonials were going after it. But the one that sticks out the most to me is in the pilot, when the ship, although we didn't see it, we are told through the story that it was filled with, it was emptied out of all the fuel, and then it was filled with Cylon raiders, and they used that to attack the fleet. So that's the picture in my mind. And from the beginning, when I built this, or when I wanted to build this, that's what I had in mind, was to put raiders in here in these bays. But when I built this, or printed this out over a year ago, at that time I only had the one printer. It was it's a Elegoo Neptune 2 FDM printer, and no matter how dialed in it was, there is no way I was going to be able to print out the raiders to the scale I would like to fit in here and look good. It's just, I don't even think those experts online, like, well, I'm not going to name names, but all those guys online, the experts that we all watch for 3D printing, could get their printer dialed in enough to make those Raiders. So that's why this set on the side was specifically for that reason. But now, recently, I have gotten my grubby little hands on a resin printer. I've got myself a Elegoo Mars Pro 2, and after I got that sucker dialed in and did a print or two, I went straight to my files where I had my Cylon Raiders, and I started playing with my Raiders, and this is what we got. So here is what we got. I was able to find a file for the Classic Raider online. I scaled it down. I had to play with the scales a couple times, did some different prints and stuff like that, and I came down with this. I can't remember what the scale I reduced this to, but basically if you look here, see if I can zoom in on this, give me a second. I don't remember, like I said, what I've scaled it down to, but as you can see, I could fit 3 of these Cylon Raiders onto the head of a dime. So I'm pretty impressed with that. So then, once I've got it to where I was happy, I printed out a plethora. Plethora. I printed out a small armada of these ships, and now I'm going to take them and stuff them into the bays of our Raider. I mean, of our tanker. They're probably not the right scale, but to be honest with you, I could fit a bunch of them in here, and it'll at least give me the look that I was going for, what it was, what was insinuated in the movie itself. So again, it may not be the right size, but it's about as small as I can go without losing the detail. And then to paint these, I just paint the first batch. I painted with just used some primer, and then coated them with some gray that I had, and then I just used a Sharpie to highlight the top spots, the canopy, the engine, stuff like that. And then after that was dried, I watered down some more gray and painted it over top of that and wicked it off just to tone it down a little bit, because the black is a little bit too much, I think. But honestly, at this size, there's no need to go crazy. I think it'll work. And of course, I'm just freaking lazy. But yeah, so now we got ourselves a whole armada or plethora of Cylon Raiders, and we're going to, once we weather the ship and the detail out the cargo bays a little bit more, we're going to mount them inside, and then we should be good to go. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.